Roshi here. Welcome back to Hercule Poirot, The First Cases, Chapter 4. I'm going to try and remember what we were doing. I believe it had something to do with a murder. Oh, I have a lot of conclusions to make, apparently. Okay, yes. So, what have we learned? Gideon wrote the letter that he sent, warning him off. They all confirm each other's
I would say a lucky guess.
alibis.
I would say a moment of genius.
All the guests have at least one other guest to confirm their alibis. Ernesto is a threat to the Major. Zach has a conflicting attitude, though. I don't know. Margot and Cassandra are longtime friends. Jackie claims Margot is hiding something. Margot claims the letter was merely advice for the Major. Maybe this?
Magnifique.
Yes. When I first overheard their conversation, it seemed Hugo was trying to get Jackie to listen. Jackie pushing for dirt on the Major. The brothers are unlikely to cooperate. However, Zacharia is willing to withhold information. Ernesto cares for Cassandra.
What a revelation.
Yep. Oh, I got an achievement for making 100 deductions. The letter she sent protecting Cassandra was threatening indeed, and Jackie seems unable to determine her secret. Margot's motive, protection. These two.
This will not get me any.
No, come my little gressels. He is conflicting.
I cannot see the logic in this.
I never can. Zach regrets. Zach resents Gideon. I do not know.
Is there something I...
Yes, there is, of course, something that I am missing. I don't...
Another success.
Really?
I never doubted myself.
I doubted myself so much. His history with the Major combined with threats to his well-being definitely show intent. So his motive could be retribution. I mean, these two could also work.
Things are beginning to become clearer.
Yeah. So, blinded by both love and greed, he may have struck down his opposition. Oh, knock at the door. Who could that be at this time?
Entrez.
Enter?
Detective, I'm sorry I did not join you in the salon as requested.
Please, mademoiselle, there is no need to apologize.
I was with Maman in her room. She would not allow anyone to see it, but I could see she was terribly upset.
Most understandable.
Do you have any suspicions as to who could have killed him?
I'm afraid my suspicions extended across all of the party's guests. While it seems as though their alibis all corroborate one another's, the disdain and hostility towards the Major makes them rife with motive.
I know there was some bad blood between the Major and some of the guests, but not enough to kill him, surely. She may seem tough from the exterior, but she's really quite kind when you get to know her.
What?
The Countess? She is a formidable
Oh.
force I would not want to come up against.
Don't be silly, detective. She wouldn't hurt a soul. Jacqueline, I mean.
Mademoiselle Conrad. She was, in fact, the least suspicious until now.
I assume that's who you were talking about, detective, after what happened between them.
That is a story I have yet to hear.
She must have told you about the piece she was writing on us, about Gideon's work and our marriage.
No.
Somehow that was the only thing she did not mention.
That's strange. I thought that is what she would have started the conversation with. Well, she had come to the house to interview me, and when I entered the library, she was there with Felix amid a rather heated conversation.
Do you know what this conversation regarded?
I'm afraid not, but Felix was quite enraged. He picked up an envelope from the table and stormed out, slamming the door behind him.
And Mademoiselle Conrad?
She was equally heated in the moment. She had a few choice words for him that I wouldn't care to repeat.
If you were in my position, mademoiselle, who would be at the top of your suspect list?
I'm sorry, but I just can't imagine any of them committing such a heinous crime.
It can often be hard to look past one's personal feelings for someone and see their flaws.
It's not that, detective. It's just they have known each other for years. Why would any of them act now?
I was under the impression the Major had merely a business relationship with some of the guests.
That's true. But those invited know each other, some of them for years. They may not seem like it, but some are even friends.
How is Madame feeling now?
Better, thank you, Detective. She's resting in her room. It is the best place for her.
And you, mademoiselle?
I'm not quite sure. It is a rather surreal feeling. I did not think I would miss him like I do.
It is understandable. He has been a close friend to your maman for many years.
And to me, Detective. We had grown close. After Father's passing, he was always there for me. And now, he's gone as well.
You must try and not think on it like that.
It is easier said than done, Detective.
I mean, I'm kind of glad he's gone, but he was kind of a dick. But
I have no doubt, but you can be assured, the culprit will not remain at large for long. You have my word.
I was going to say, but you can be a dick and still not deserve death. So, you know, I was kind of hoping maybe he'd just get blackmailed.
I should return to my room now, Detective. It has been a trying day for us all.
Oui, mademoiselle. I am afraid tomorrow may bear a resemblance, but I will not stop until I have found his killer.
I am
Mark my
certainly glad
words.
you are here, Detective.
When and where a detective is required, that is where I shall be.
Good evening.
Bonne nuit, mademoiselle.
Bonne nuit. Good night. Mademoiselle has left me with an interesting thought, one I had not considered until now. While at first glance the guests do not appear to show much fondness for each other, Mademoiselle is quite sure that is not the case. Perhaps I must consider looking at the guests together and not individually. Yeah, because they've known each other for like years, right? Oh, I've learned new things. What a stance. What a boss girl stance. Okay, so, we got another little, Angeline. So Jackie bumped heads with the Major. She's pushing for dirt on him.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
I doubted Jackie's involvement with the murder, but now I am dubious of her innocence.
I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction.
I now have all the motives from the guests. Who is under suspicion? All the motives are confirmed. I think all of them are. All motives confirmed, all alibis confirmed.
The pieces of the puzzle are fine.
I do not know who I can trust or whose stories I can believe. Are the guests innocent? They are all suspicious because they've known each other
What a
forever.
revelation.
I now doubt how trustworthy their stories may be. They may well be covering for each other. There is no physical way one of the guests could have killed the Major and returned to the party, unless that is where I am mistaken. It is not one guilty party I should be looking for, rather multiple. Yep, so there's more than one killer. How could I have not considered that the Major's death was part of a ploy created and executed by more than only one of the guests? It came almost as an epiphany following Mademoiselle Angeline's remark about the guests' shared past. Perhaps Mademoiselle will become the trusted ally that I now sense may be essential to catching the guilty parties. Tonight's questioning was only the beginning. I will allow my suspects to sleep on their stories, and we will see how they fare tomorrow. Perhaps one of those involved will have morals enough to show a glimmer of regret. Considering they may be working together, I cannot be sure who has told the truth, and who has attempted to sell me down the fleuve. Perhaps I should sleep on the matter. A good night's sleep will surely bring a new dawn of thinking, and what a better setting to do so in than the peaceful falling blanket of snow that surrounds us all. Although it seems not everyone has the same idea. Ooh. Huh. Creepy? That's very creepy. Chapter 5. Hello, Archie. The secret. A restless sleep combined with the image of the eerie figure in the snow has only convoluted what my little grey cells must consider. I should not have expected this to be a simple case. I have been lied to by at least one of the guests. Their alibis all confirm each other's, but I know this not to be true. Ooh, new mind map. How the Major was involved with the blackmail eludes me for now. Once I have confirmed whether he was the author or recipient, I can consider my next step in my investigation. Good morning, Archie.
Good morning, Detective. You slept well?
I'm afraid I did not. I was hoping for at least a moment of pleasant slumber, but alas, it was not to be. Finding the Major's killer is the only thing that will put my mind at ease.
In that case, Detective, what can I do to help?
Let's hope nobody fled in the night. I did not see Mademoiselle Elizabeth last night.
I'm afraid our Lizzie is not well. I think the events of yesterday were too much for her. We'll have to just make do without her this morning.
As Wordsworth once stated, rest and be thankful. Perhaps a chance of peace and relaxation will work wonders.
Would you permit me access to the house's telephone?
I would, but I'm afraid I found this morning that the telephone lines aren't working.
Huh.
The snow continued through the night and must have damaged them. Even if we could use the telephone, I don't think anyone would be able to reach us.
In that case, it will be up to myself alone to solve the case.
That's interesting.
I'll let you know if anything changes. But until some of the snow clears, enough for the carriages to arrive,
That's
we are
good.
snowed in.
Sort of, maybe. There is a murderer around. Although I am not able to call upon or leave the house to find help from the local authorities, it also means none of the guests are able to leave. I have until the snow clears to find not only Mademoiselle Angeline's blackmailer, but also the Major's killer. While watching the snowfall last night, I swear I saw the silhouette of a figure standing in the garden.
In that snow. If someone was out there, we'd have another body on our hands.
Oh, Archie.
I realize how strange it sounds. I would not believe it myself if I had not seen it with my own eyes.
Staff have reported seeing things in the dark before, but it always just turns out to be shadows.
Sure.
It was likely just your mind playing tricks.
I'd also like to speak with Madame Van den Bosch at her earliest convenience.
She is currently eating breakfast alone in the dining room. It's how she prefers it. But if you wish to speak with her now...
It is important I speak with her, but perhaps it is better to allow her to finish. I do not wish to upset her before I have even asked my first question. I could perhaps investigate the garden for any evidence of the figure from last night. And the Major's body.
Taken care of. Master Dramir and his brother, after sobering up, helped me move him into the cellar. Best place for the time being.
Très bien. I imagine there is no reason for anyone to go down there.
Besides me, no one. Once this snow
What
clears,
if Archie did
we'll
it?
be able to move him from the house.
Your assistance has been most valuable
wouldn't do
as
that.
always.
Okay, well, did I get anything from that? Not really. Oh, Angeline, good morning. Whoop, just let me do quick side steps over here. Whoop, boop, 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 boop. Good morning, Angeline.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you were comfortable last night.
Comfortable.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. The room was more than pleasant, merci. I'm afraid my mind was not in a state to enjoy it to its full potential, though.
I can't imagine any of us slept soundly last night.
Hopefully, guilt will be weighing heavily on someone's shoulders this morning.
Perhaps on more than one set.
I'm sorry if I was not much help last night, Detective.
On the contrary, your inside knowledge of the guests was of great help to my investigation. But there are many more questions that require answers.
Although the Major's death has taken precedence, there has been a development in the blackmail case.
A development? Oh, Detective, I knew I could count on you.
It may not be the news you had wished for, though. Another letter has been found.
Addressed to me? I don't know how much more I can take of this.
Pardonnez-moi, mademoiselle. Although it has been written in the same manner, using similar phraseology, it was not sent for your eyes, rather the Major's. Or at least that is how it seems.
I'm sorry, Detective, I don't understand. It is addressed to him or not?
I found it in the Major's study yesterday while conducting my preliminary search. Whether he is the author of the letter or the recipient, I am still yet to discover.
What were your feelings towards the Major's position in the house?
His position? You mean about him living here?
Oui, even in a house this size, you must see a lot of each other.
I enjoyed having him here. When I was away with Gideon, it was comforting to know Maman was not alone. Although his work with Mr. Da Silva has kept him away from the house of late.
What can you tell me about their relationship? working or otherwise.
There is not much to tell, only that there is no love lost between them.
Do you know what their business entailed?
He was always quite private about his work. I know that he was helping Mr. Da Silva with some safety measures.
Safety.
I found a check addressed to the Major from Monsieur Da Silva. It noted security consulting.
Ah, that's right, security. With his military training, he helped Mr. Da Silva prepare for any trouble with the strikes.
Could the Major have been behind the blackmail?
Heavens no! He could not do that.
You did not hesitate for a moment.
Why would he do such a thing? And then to send a letter to himself. It just doesn't make sense.
Merci for your time, mademoiselle. You are to a detective what an umbrella is to a traveler on a wet day.
Weird.
Useful?
Exactement.
Oh, okay. Well, I shouldn't go in the dining room because she's eating. Ah, good morning, Gideon.
Bonjour, Monsieur Demir.
Detective Poirot, how are you?
The truth, monsieur. With each step towards uncovering the blackmailer, I am thrown 2 steps back as to the identity of the Major's killer.
Is there something I can help you with?
After investigating the crime scene yesterday, I asked Monsieur Sterling to move the body.
Archibald came to me and asked for my help in the matter. My brother and I dealt with it.
Merci for your help. It is a job that only the professionals should have to undertake.
It's a job that had to be done, although it may have affected my brother more than I.
How so?
At the sight of the body, the color drained from his face. Once we had reached the cellar, Zachariah took himself straight off to bed, without even a good night.
I think he's suffering from PTSD. While in the study, I noticed the Major's safe was locked. Would you know who has access?
Felix and Madame Vandenbosch are the only ones with keys, as far as I'm aware. Oh, and Archibald. I'm sure I heard Felix asking him to return something to it once.
I wonder why Monsieur Sterling did not mention this previously. Interesting. Have you spoken with your brother this morning?
I have not seen him since last night. I'm sure he will have been fine after a good night's sleep.
I imagine the alcohol would have acted as a sufficient sleeping aid.
He does not need his younger brother checking in on him.
Perhaps that is exactly what he requires.
I'm not sure what he told you yesterday, Detective, but he's a big boy. He can look after himself.
I worry that may not be the case, monsieur. His time in the war came up in conversation more than once during our conversations.
He's still talking about it? I thought talking to the doctor would have stopped all of that.
Yeah, I think he has PTSD.
Merci, monsieur.
Probably really, really badly. Damn it! Hello?
Comtesse, I wonder if I could ask you some questions.
That is it, detective? No small talk? No inflating of one's ego?
I am afraid not, Comtesse. With the murderer still loose in the house, my mind is rather preoccupied.
Well then, detective, perhaps I can be of some assistance.
Comment, madame?
I thought you might like to know what I found on the Major's body.
What? I demand to know who gave you permission to see the Major's body.
That certainly piqued your interest.
A man has been murdered, and you find it acceptable to fool around and joke.
Oh, please, detective. Do you really think so little of me? Archibald asked for my assistance.
He didn't
He
mention
knows of my
you.
medical training from my days as a nurse, and I thought I would be able to help. Even if it has been some years.
It was not his place to grant you access to the body.
I shall remember to keep my assistance to myself next time.
What did you discover on the body?
A single stab wound, which you no doubt already knew. The knife was held in their right hand. I would say their predominant hand.
I pride myself on order and method, and this is far from either. A suspect in a murder investigation has examined the very victim that they are suspected of killing. It is like something out of a crime novel or a crime game.
Judging by the depth of the wound, I would say there was no great force put into the strike. More a sign of defense than attack. If I had to say what weapon was used, a small sharp knife or dagger.
This may confirm my suspicions of the Major's knife being used to kill him.
understand it may be difficult for one to keep such information to yourself, but I ask you to try. Your involvement has already tainted my investigation.
You are welcome, detective.
When my superior officer hears of the goings-on in this house, I will surely be seeing the green fields of the countryside once more. I must do all I can to redeem the reputation I've worked to build, starting with finding the killer.
S'il vous plaît, Comtesse. Keep this information to yourself.
Jesus Christ. Ugh, no, I'm not playing the goddamn piano. There's a piano in every hall. Alright, can I go in there? No, I can't. I cannot go in the butler. Let's go have a look in the garden. Is there any deductions to be made? There is. I'll give it a go. I gotta talk to Cassandra. Angeline disputes the Major being the blackmailer. Angeline knew the Major well. Inspect the garden. Brothers moved the body.
Another success. I never doubted my...
I have heard of men returning physically from war, but their minds remain on the battlefield. Zach may have shell shock. Maybe these two.
Magnifique.
Yeah. One can't be surprised with Angeline and Felix's bond. He's been a figure in her life for so long. So she was attached to him. I'm gonna go check the garden. Don't wait up, guys. Be back later. It's probably freezing out here. I'm probably gonna freeze my little red shoes off. Oh, finding evidence of the figure from last night will on one hand confirm I am not seeing things as Monsieur Sterling suggested, but on the other pose even more questions that must be answered. He looks so cold. Whoop, what is this? An expensive lighter. A well-made lighter with the insignia of a military regiment. The Major must have dropped it. He was definitely out here. I do love, it leaving my little footy prints behind. Fallen bird feeder. It has almost disappeared in the snow. I doubt we will see too many birds in these conditions. The fact that he's braving the snow, man's committed. The house is completely snowed in. It does not look like we shall be going anywhere anytime soon. So it must have been from someone in the house, right? Milk bottles. They must have been left out for collection. I cannot see anyone making it through this snow though. I myself am struggling. Oh, garden tools? Garden tools have been left out, presumably before the snow fell. Okay, what about this fountain over here? Anything with you? No. I don't think I'm gonna find any evidence of this man. Just that lighter. They must be missing something. Well, let's go back inside and we'll go talk to Gideon about his brothers. Oh, wait. They were right there. There is a small trail of footprints in the snow. The Major was seen walking around here yesterday. The snow is still falling and I am hardly dressed for the occasion. Perhaps Madame Van den Bosch has finished her breakfast and is ready to answer my questions. I walked right past it. Yes, I want to go talk to Gideon first really quickly though. Gideon!
If it will help you find the Major's killer, of course.
Your brother was seeing a doctor.
When he returned from the war, he was a different man. Everything became about what he had seen.
I cannot speak from experience, but I can only imagine the horrors he must have witnessed.
The first weeks he would wake in the night, screaming.
Oh man.
I found him one night, cowering behind the desk in the study. And when I tried to help him out from beneath it, well, that was the first time I had ever feared for my life.
That is not why you two are no longer close?
And not at all, Detective. We were always very different in nature. While I had always wanted to follow an academic path, Zachariah was more of a free spirit. Or at least as free as our father and the laws would allow.
And yet, he ended up in the military. Quite the contrast.
Our father demanded that he at least try to do something with his life. And when some of his friends joined the army, he signed up with them. It wasn't long before he moved out from the family home after his return from the army. I always assumed that he had put the war and everything that came with it behind him and was moving on. But now I see that is far from the truth.
Yeah, it's not something that you can just get over really quickly. Time to go talk to good old Cassie girl. Come here, Cassandra. I am Detective Poirot. I still don't know how French people do that. While I must speak with Madame van den Bosch, I should also take this opportunity to talk to Mademoiselle Rihanna in the kitchen. Yeah, I actually haven't been in here. Freely. Ooh, bust. Hell yeah.
Oh,
Madame van den Bosch's collection of art extends further than just paintings. There are a lot of animals on the wall. You know how I feel about that. She's got a lot of busts. Hello, Cassandra.
bonjour, madame. May I offer my condolences for your loss?
Thank you, Detective, but they are not necessary. What can I do for you?
I was hoping you would be prepared to answer some questions.
If I must.
Yes, you must. Why would someone want to kill the Major?
I'm sure you're aware he was not the easiest man to get along with. His hot temper made him a number of foes.
A hot temper is reason enough to kill a man.
His mouth often acted before his brain. Perhaps someone had grown tired of dealing with it.
You suggested why someone might kill him, but who do you believe would do it?
Seeing as I heard Mr. Becker's in what I would describe as an unnecessarily loud exchange of words yesterday...
Is that Hugo?
He would be my first suspect.
You heard them yourself.
How could I not? The volume they were shouting at, I could hear them from the study in my room.
You did not think it fitting to tell me this yesterday?
I didn't think Felix was going to wind up dead and a murderer loose in my house. My apologies, Detective.
Although I must learn more of this argument, it is not Madame that I expect the answers to come from. Rather Monsieur Becker's. He has a great deal of explaining to do. A letter was found in the Major's study.
I assume you are talking about the supposed blackmail letter.
Oui, madame. You know of it?
It arrived shortly after the first. Rather coincidental, if you ask me.
I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say, madame.
He no doubt had secrets hidden away. But do you honestly think Felix had anything of value to his name worth threatening him for?
I'm sorry if you can hear my little squeaky chair. We get some WD-40 for it.
Perhaps you should enlighten me.
Well, he was here, living in my house, eating my food, prepared by my staff. Does that answer your question, Detective?
How do you think the Major came to have the letter?
I wouldn't put it past him to have written it himself, in the hopes of getting some sympathy from me.
Damn.
And the other letters?
He probably wrote those too. If Angeline paid the first, that would have given him the money to pay the second letter. He is the White Knight, saves the day, and expects to live here happily ever after.
I did not expect Madame van den Bosch to be so blunt with her thoughts towards the Major. I was under the impression there was more to their friendship, not less. It is quite the nefarious plan that Madame has laid out for the Major. I'm not sure I can believe he would go to such levels of deceit. I'm sure Mademoiselle Angeline will have an opinion on the matter. I'd like to ask you about Monsieur de Silva.
What is it you wish to know?
You two have been friends for some time now. And while I do not mean to pry, has
You're
relationship
prying.
only...
If you are trying to insinuate that Mr. de Silva and I are running around like schoolchildren, you could not be further from the truth. He was friends with my husband, for goodness sake.
Oui, I understand they worked together. Investments, if I am correct.
Mr. de Silva was the voice of reason that my husband should have listened to more often, instead of throwing our money at businesses that were already on the verge of bankruptcy.
Merci, madame. I shall not bother you any further.
Thank you. Sorry for your loss, although you don't seem too sorry about it. To the kitchen! Maybe I could get some sick food from here. Hello! Ooh! Look at all these pots and these pans. Hello, Rihanna. Can I have some food?
Bonjour, madame.
Are those
You
cookies?
must be the wonderful cook.
Wonderful and modest, sir. I am Rihanna.
My taste buds thank you for the ravishing meal last night. It has been some time since I ate so well.
Glad to hear it, sir.
S'il te plaît, madame. A detective is fine.
In that case, Mademoiselle is fine for me, and I will ignore your presumption of marriage.
Ah,
Très bon, mademoiselle.
you have been with the Van den Bosch family for quite some time?
That's right.
I've seen staff come and go, but a house always needs a trustworthy cook.
I agree. But if I was to eat what you prepare every day, I fear I may be the size of la maison.
The size of a house, I believe is what that means.
Not a bad thing, detective. You could do with some meat on your bones.
Well, with the snow still not clearing, we may be stuck here for the weekend. Perhaps I should look to adjust my pantalon buttons.
I understand you took some ice to the Major yesterday.
I did. Monsieur Archie told me what had happened. Bruises can swell fast, so I took him some ice to bring it down.
Strange, Monsieur Sterling told me it was the Major that requested the ice. I'm starting to think that that Archie and the Major had a different relationship than Archie's letting on.
How was the Major when you saw him?
Grumpy, as always.
I suppose one would not take kindly to being punched as he was.
Punched or not, he was as ungrateful as ever.
I guess
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
I have gathered all I need from the Madame Van den Bosch and Mademoiselle Rehana. I should return to the Great Hall. Let's have a look. Rehana took ice to the Major on her own accord.
Things are beginning
Yes,
to
yes.
become clearer.
Cassandra believes the Major was the blackmailer, but Angeline doesn't. Angeline and Cassandra have different impressions of the Major. There must be a reason for this. Go talk to Angeline.
Is there something I can help you with, detective?
Your mama did not describe her friendship with the Major in such a positive light.
You have got the wrong end of the stick, detective. Maman has snapped at him recently, but it was nothing more than that. It was something to do with the letter. I heard them in the library before Maman shouted and he stormed out of the room past me.
Could it have been the blackmail letter that instigated their argument?
Why would Maman be upset with him over the letter?
Madame is of a very different opinion from yourself regarding his connection with the letters. She believes him to be the author.
That is what she told you? She has always been one to make a quick, if not rash decision, but she cannot truly believe that.
Was the Major aware you had paid the first blackmail letter?
I don't recall telling him directly. I did not want Maman to find out it had been paid. If he knew, surely she would.
Madame believes he may have been behind all the letters, and taking your payment of the first, then used it to pay the second and be the hero in you and your mother's eyes.
I never knew Maman had such an imagination. Where would she get a story like that from?
That is a question I was hoping you may be able to answer.
You have met him. Do you really think he's capable of such a devious plan?
It is a plan only the most crooked and underhanded could create. Is that the Major? I am not so sure.
The more I think of Madame's story, the more ridiculous and obscure it sounds, but that does not mean it can be ruled
I
out.
shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
So, Angeline questions Cassandra's reasoning for the Major's blackmail. Cassandra wasn't happy with the Major.
Some would say a lucky guess.
I wonder if the blackmail had a greater effect on their relationship than expected.
Is there something I can help you with, detective?
Was the arrival of the blackmail letter what caused the tension in Madame and the Major's relationship?
I'm afraid it had been that way for some time. Maman is not forthcoming with her emotions, as I'm sure you are aware, but I could tell she had not been happy with their arrangement for the last few months.
What gave you that impression?
There was not one particular thing that she expressed, it was just the way she spoke to him and of him when he wasn't present.
I shall not keep you any longer. Merci, mademoiselle.
So they were not happy together. I believe I have gathered everything that is required. Monsieur Sterling will be able to assist me in gaining access to the Major's study. Archie!
Whatever you need, detective.
You are a bit sussy. I wish to inspect the Major's study again.
Certainly, detective.
I was making a light-handed joke about Archie being the killer, but whoa, this room is still a crime scene and should have remained untouched, but it looks as though it has been ransacked. I requested Monsieur Sterling to have the body wrapped and moved, which has been done. Thankfully, what else has gone on in here? Someone was obviously looking for something in particular in the Major's documents. These accounts have been thoroughly rifled through. The Major has recently taken out a large loan and the interest rate is astronomical. His safe.
Huh.
I must admit, side by side, there is a striking resemblance between Mere Arfil. Perhaps such flattery is the way to win over Madame van den Bosch. How strange. The Viscount was also present in the picture, but has been folded out. I did not think there was any hostility between the Major and the late Viscount. That is a bit weird. How strange. I could not access this yesterday, but now it has been left wide open. Scratches are obvious around the lock. Someone in this house was eager to see the safe's contents. A half-sealed letter addressed to Madame van den Bosch from the Major. I am not one to read others' private mail, but under the circumstances. My dearest Cassandra, it feels as though it has been an age since I have been able to set my eyes on you. A day I have waited for so impatiently. I keep the photograph of us together at the lake close to my heart. Always. I cannot wait to see how young Angeline has grown. Her beauty will surely soon reach that of her mother's. I hope the gifts from the Orient reached you fine. They are really something to behold. The work that has kept me away for so long is drawing to a close, and I will be returning to the continent within the month. At your request, I have found accommodation in the city. I think I may have just realized something. It pains me to think of being so close and yet unable to be with you every moment. But if it eases your worry, I shall not continue to question it. I will arrange for a visit to the house. An old friend returning will surely raise minimal suspicions. I understand that the Viscount is also currently out of country. I hope you have not felt the strain of loneliness take over, and it will not be long until we are reunited. Until that day, until the end of mine, my heart is yours, Major Felix Hagen. It seems there is a great deal of Madame van den Bosch and the Major's relationship that she has withheld, including the fact that it was going on before the Viscount died, and that he could possibly be... I'm not going to say it. It is clear from this letter that their affection for one another has been more than that of friendship for some time. The mention of young Angeline suggests it may go back as far as 20 years. I think that's it. It's craziness. Yeah, Cassandra and the Major's relationship issues.
I should not be surprised by my own...
The Major paid the letter that was addressed to him. He must have been worried enough that something would be released to the public. But what? This letter was unsent. Come on, my little grey cells.
Magnifique.
Oh! The hidden photos of them, along with Angeline's attachment to him, proves he cared deeply for them. The Major cared about them. But they were having relationship issues.
Some would say a lucky guess.
I believe the Major would do everything to remain in the comfortable life he's accustomed to, but would he stoop so low as to fake a blackmail letter? I don't think so, because he paid it.
The pieces of the puzzle.
The evidence shows the Major was not the author of the blackmail letter. The Major was a victim, just like Mademoiselle Angeline. Whoever it is that is penning these letters knows a great deal about many people. I wonder how many more have received similar letters. Okay. I guess we can deduce that Major was innocent. The uncertain connection between the Major and the ransom has been resolved. The Major was being blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. What remains unresolved is why the Major was being blackmailed. 2 cases of extortion under one roof. The question of their relationship must be asked. The Major's secret is anything but obvious from his letter. I now have a blackmailer and a murderer and their weapon to find. If the correct process is followed, they shall all be found swiftly. I should take my leave. This room has already revealed enough new insights into the Madame's and the Major's lives.
Detective Poirot, I have been asked to inform you that Lady van den Bosch has returned to her room, and she wishes not to be disturbed.
Merci. Madame certainly has mastered the art of subtlety.
They may not be the exact words she used, but I'm sure you can imagine. Excuse me, I have some further duties to attend to in the pantry.
Okay. Perhaps I should take this opportunity to search the top floor now there is no one to disturb me. There is one room that holds particular interest. I should inspect the storage room while I have this rare opportunity. The storage room. Well, that's Cassandra's bedroom. That's Angeline and Gideon's. Where does this go? To the storeroom. Yes. Okay. Children's toys. A collection of children's toys. Such a shame to see them stored away and not being enjoyed. Considering they have been kept in a storage room, they are all in almost perfect condition. My immediate assumption would be they belong to Mademoiselle Angeline. A lone storybook rests here. It has obviously been read a great number of times, judging by the condition of the spine and pages. I am perhaps not the target demographic, but I understand it to be quite popular amongst the younger audience. To the real lady of the house, happy birthday. Watching you grow into a proper young lady has been more than words can describe. All my love, Felix. I would not have expected to find such a heartfelt message written by Monsieur Hagen. And to Mademoiselle Angeline, is this the usual inscription you would find from a family friend? No, because he's a fucking dad. Cannot seem to get a straight answer from anyone regarding the Major. I know he has been friends with Madame van den Bosch for some years, but I must find out if there was anything more. The sealed letter. The large sum. The Major resided with the family for a long time. The interest rate on the loan is astonishing.
What a revelation!
It seems the Major has lived rather comfortably in the Van den Bosch house for many years. Oh, okay, yeah. So he depends on Cassandra. I have to talk to Angeline now. Can I go in Cassandra's room? It doesn't have a lock. Will I get yelled at? I want to see what'll happen. Oh, no, I'm scared. She told me not to disturb her and I just went into her room. Oops. You didn't see anything. We gotta go find Angeline. Yes, let's go find Angeline. She's downstairs. Yeah. Gonna look at the stairs and stare at it for a moment. Perhaps it is time to speak with Mademoiselle Angeline again. She should be able to give us the valuable pieces of this puzzle. Hey, did you know he was your dad?
Detective Poirot, are you any closer to uncovering the truth of Felix's involvement with the letters?
I am, mademoiselle. I can confirm that he was not the author of the blackmail letters.
So the author is still out there?
Oui, but it will not be long before they are apprehended, and the only letters they shall be penning will be from behind iron bars.
You are very confident.
Rather assuring. Thank you, detective.
Your comment about the current guest stayed with me last night.
I'm sorry, detective. I did not intend to leave your mind so full of thoughts.
No apology is required. It actually made me question my whole chain of thinking. What if there had been a collusion between them, and the Major's murder was planned, organized, and orchestrated to make the investigation seem almost impossible?
Oh my, detective, that is quite a theory.
Every guest has a motive. You confirmed that with the mention of Mademoiselle Conrad and the Major's fight. Supplying one another with a rock-solid alibi would surely throw off any detective.
But not you.
Correct, mademoiselle. It would take much more to stamp Detective Poirot.
He's very confident. Speaking with the Comtesse yesterday, she did not have the greatest opinion of the Major.
They have often come to blows when it concerns Maman. They are both trying to protect her, but they themselves cannot seem to get along.
She spoke of his desire to join the, how do you describe it? Social elite.
This isn't the first time she has vocalized that concern. She thinks the Major was just using our family name to make his way to the top.
And you do not agree?
I will not deny he has shown interest in Maman's social circles, but they have been friends since even before I was born.
Friends,
Surely
yeah.
all those years of friendship was not just to raise his social standing.
No, but it was to raise something else, that's for sure. Mademoiselle Angeline obviously does not believe what the Comtesse had to say about the Major. Perhaps it is jealousy that drives her scandalous theory. If I may be so bold, did the Major contribute to the house?
How do you mean, detective?
Did he pay for shit?
I imagine a house of this size is rather costly, keeping it in the immaculate condition it is in.
Maman looks after the financial side of the house, but I think she has had to ask him more than once for a contribution of sorts. It is not for me to get involved.
And while searching the storage room, I found a book that I assume was a gift from the Major to you.
I haven't seen that book in so long. Yes, it was a gift for my 10th birthday. I have read it from cover to cover countless times. He left such a lovely inscription too.
It sounds as though there is a side to the Major I did not get to see. Was it common for him to bring you gifts?
Not common, but if he had been away for some time, he would bring me a small memento from his travels. He hasn't done that in some time, though.
The toys that were with the book, were they also gifts from the Major?
They were. I'm afraid they may have gathered some dust being in the storage room for so long. I kept them in hope of giving them to my child when the time comes.
It sounds as though he had always cared about you.
His presence at the house was comforting for us both after Father died, even if sometimes he was a little too overprotective.
You spoke last night of the Major's support of your mama.
That's right. Ever since I can remember, Felix has been around.
It seems as though she has a number of support networks. The Major, her friendship with the Countess, not forgetting Monsieur da Silva.
Maman has many friends. I know how she may seem to most, but once you break the hard shell...
There is a further shell waiting to be broken.
Oh, very good, detective.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. I only jest.
He's not jesting.
It's quite all right. You are not the only one that feels a razor tongue. She's grateful you are here, especially now, whether she shows it or not.
I'm still yet to see this version of Madame that Mademoiselle Angeline speaks of. I'm not sure I will get my hopes up for a budding friendship.
I shall not keep you any longer.
She's
Merci,
a capital
mademoiselle.
B. I have everything that is needed to push Madame Van den Bosch on her secret. Oh my god. Haha. That's why I can go in her room, because I'm about to catch her in her secret. I was going to say in the act. And I was like, no. Definitely not. What up? Why do you have so many busts around the house?
What do you think you are doing in here?
Hi, I'm in here because
I
I'm a
have
detective.
something I wish to discuss with you.
Well, I hope it is important enough to justify barging into one's bedroom.
It is, and I'm a detective.
I assure you it is.
Good, because this has gone on far too long. We are snowed in this house while a murderer runs amok.
I can understand your frustrations, but it is not as simple as...
You were once an incompetent officer, and now it seems you are just as incompetent as a detective.
Hey, Cassie? Can I call you Cassie? What exactly do you do?
If I was not being lied to and misled at every turn, perhaps the murderer would already be in custody.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm not going to lie, Poirot. I don't think a murder is going to be exactly truthful to you.
I hope you are not suggesting I had something to do with Felix's murder.
I am suggesting that if I had the support that everyone claims they are offering, we would be in a very different situation.
If you have something you want to ask, I suggest you ask me now.
I would like to ask you about a letter I found in the Major's study.
I'm sure he has hundreds of letters in there. Most of them could and should have been thrown away a long time ago. You are going to have to be more specific.
I refer to the letter addressed to you, the one of a romantic nature.
Romantic nature? Oh, please, detective. Felix did not have a romantic bone in his body.
He made his intentions quite clear in the letter. I must admit I myself was surprised.
You really do have quite the active imagination, detective. If that is how you wish to interpret it, so be it. But I can assure you, the Major did not think of me that way, and certainly did not include it in a letter.
Someone could have planted it there. And I was not aware that Major had been so close to your daughter.
We met before Angeline was born, so he was often at the house when she was growing up.
And where was it you two met?
I was attending an event. Felix was also in attendance as a serving officer. A conversation was struck.
So it was not through the Viscount that you two met?
I did not require my husband to start conversations on my behalf.
It was you that instigated it then?
My, detective. That active imagination of yours has taken you on quite some journey.
Madame is attempting to deflect from a subject she obviously does not feel comfortable discussing. The late Viscount and the Major were surely friends then.
Edwin spent much of his time away on business before Angeline was born. Felix was a welcome distraction from the loneliness of the house.
I'm sure he was.
You were alone in the house?
The staff continued their duties, of course, but trying to get any sort of sophisticated or cultured conversation from them was like drawing blood from a stone.
And when Angeline was born?
Edwin remained at home. It was his duty as a father.
And the Major?
He had his own business and life to tend to, but we remained in touch via letter. Around the time of Edwin's passing, Felix had relocated to the area.
Madame is incredibly coy and brief with the information she offers, But with the Viscount's death coinciding with the Major's return, surely a mere coincidence is too far-fetched.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
Yeah, I think she was fucking him. Not to be too brash. Damn it.
Things are beginning to become clearer.
It is obvious that the Major cared for Cassandra. That is no surprise to anyone. Oh, okay. Well, that was easy. Why didn't I just...
Is this really necessary?
If you are correct and the Major had no romantic? Mr. Lola had no romantic feelings towards you, why would he keep a photograph of you and Mademoiselle Angeline hidden?
He may have stayed in my home, but Felix was a grown man, detective. What he kept, hidden or otherwise, has nothing to do with me.
But it does not surprise you that he had such a photograph?
We have been friends, and he has been there for Angeline for many years, but you find it strange that he keeps a reminder of us? Perhaps that says more about you, detective.
I bet you she gave it to him.
What I do find strange is that if he did hold a flame for you, why he would never express it.
If he did, it was not reciprocated. I have not even considered another since my husband's passing. Not that it is any of your business.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
You haven't considered another, but you let him live in your
I should
house?
not be surprised by my own...
As much as she tries to deny it, Cassandra shared the Major's feelings in some capacity. Yeah, you let him live in your house without paying anything. I'm gonna push her.
Who I allow in my
I guess I
house
get another
is
chance.
none of your business. I do not have to explain anything to you.
That's nice
I
of the
did not
game.
think you were one for charity.
I would not expect you to think much of anything. There is no need to talk on it any further.
Yes, we spoke about this. I'm just gonna be forceful. Why is it you protect the name of Monsieur Hagen
He
so
was a man that
resolutely?
required no protection, detective, especially from me.
That is the impression I had of him, which is why your defensive stance warrants questioning.
Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve. There is a murderer and a blackmailer to be found. That is your job here.
Judging by the Major's words in the letter, it was not only one that he sent declaring his love. Nesipa.
How many times do I have to tell you? There was no romantic feelings between us. I have grown weary of this conversation, Poirot. There is nothing more to say.
Oh, she called me Poirot, not detective. Ha.
Madame, you continue to withhold the truth.
And you continue to get on my last nerve. I am not obliged to tell you every detail of my private life.
But when it impedes my investigation...
If only you were this focused on finding the blackmailer and...
Madame.
Very well. I did not lie about how we met. I was attending an event, raising money for... Oh, I cannot recall now. It had been some time since I had returned home, and was rather missing English soil. I was aware of Felix's invitation, or at least that there was to be several British officers attending the party. And that is where our friendship began.
She was missing the Brits, hey?
He was a warm reminder
Oh,
of home,
sure he was.
and I enjoyed conversing
Sure he
with
was.
him. We shared walks in the park and read together. As I said, he was a welcome distraction from the days spent alone. I shall go no further with the details, but I will say I had no intention on being unfaithful to my husband. It was never our plan to go that far. Once I found out I was pregnant, I knew it had to stop.
Hot diggity damn, I was right.
The Viscount never questioned Mademoiselle's birth?
He was her dad.
In his mind, he had no reason to, and he shouldn't have had to. It was my mistake to bear. If he knew the truth, our lives would have been ruined. I told Felix that he was to stay away, but he had no intention to. He became an uncle figure to Angeline, and They grew closer after Edwin's death. I could not tell her the truth. Too much time had passed. The secret remained only between him and I. Until now.
And what were the Major's thoughts on revealing the truth?
He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted her to know exactly who he was. But I told him no. It would not have been the poignant reconciliation that he expected. She would not understand.
Tell me about the letters, because that's clearly what the blackmail was about.
I tried to retrieve them from the safe after everyone had retired.
Different
last
letters.
night. But when I opened the safe, they were nowhere to be found. I assumed he must have hidden them somewhere else.
When I entered the study this morning, they were as visible as a red notice on a police station wall.
I would appreciate if you did not compare them to the face of a wanted felon.
Pardon, madame.
But that does mean someone else in the house has seen them. I don't understand. Why would they return them?
A mystery that is still yet to be solved.
Madame was beaten to the safe by another. It seems we also have a thief within these walls to add to the list of criminals, but a thief that returns their spoils. Can I assume this is the secret that has been used for ransom?
It must be. But I have told no one.
And the Major?
Felix promised me he wouldn't tell a soul, and I believed him. What, even if he wanted to?
If the Major had let slip even once throughout the years, perhaps in an intoxicated state, it is a secret that many would have seek an opportunity to gain from.
You did not think anyone knew, and that is why you disregarded the letter.
If you bow to these criminals, they will only try to claw more from you.
Yeah.
I think that is all for now. Merci, madame.
The uncertain connection between the Major and the ransom has been resolved. The Major was being blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. What remains unresolved is why the Major was being blackmailed. 2 cases of extortion under one roof. The question of their relationship must be asked. The Major's secret is anything but obvious from his letter. I now have a blackmailer and a murderer and their weapon to find. If the correct process is followed, they shall all be found swiftly. I should take my leave. This room has already revealed enough new insights into the Madame's and the Major's lives. I had my suspicions that Madame van den Bosch and the Major shared a romantic relationship, but I did not expect the revelation of his connection to Mademoiselle Angeline. I am now one of the very few that hold Madame's secret. Yeah, that shit crazy. Cool. Goodbye. Thank you for telling me your deepest, darkest secret. I promise not to go and tell everyone. Archie, you'll never guess what just happened.
Detective Poirot, how is your investigation coming?
Monsieur Sterling, I must admit, I have learned much more than I was expecting to.
What is this angle? What does it look like I'm about to push him down the stairs?
You'll be wrapping the case up soon, then.
One has never finished learning, monsieur. And in this case, I shall need to continue if I am to find the Major's killer.
It might help to vocalize your thinking. I'm all ears.
I don't want to tell you. Monsieur Sterling offers an interesting concept. If I was to state the current position of my investigation while holding back certain truths, the guilty parties may realize I am hot on their heels and reveal their hand.
Monsieur, would you gather the guests and staff in the salon?
Right away, detective. Can I ask for what reason?
I shall reveal all once everyone is together.
Oh, well, that is where I'm going to leave it, because it looks like we're heading into an interrogation. Oh, shit. Very much so an interrogation. Chapter 6. The Search. Oh, Hugo's playing the piano. Wonderful playing, Hugo.
Detective, what is the meaning of all this?
Madame,
I guess we're finding out right now.
For only a few moments. What I have to say is of great significance to everyone. You are all invited here to celebrate the engagement of Mademoiselle Angeline van den Bosch and Monsieur Gédéon Demire, the coming together of 2 prevalent families. But the celebrations were short-lived, as Major Felix Hagen was found dead in his study by a young servant of the house. It then became my responsibility and obligation as a detective to uncover the truth behind his demise. My initial examination of his study exposed a number of things I did not expect to find. Things I have no desire to divulge at this time, but what I can say is this. It was no simple murder. A letter demanding ransom for a continued silence confirmed this.
Is there
I
ever
am
a
sure
simple
some,
murder?
if not all of you, have heard whispers of a series of blackmails that have plagued the social elite in recent weeks. After hearing of the letters in the major study, you may ask if it was him behind the letters. You may further ask if he was preparing his next threat to another unsuspecting victim. It is a question that crossed even my mind. That was until I sought the truth. That in fact it was the Major that had fallen victim to our blackmailer Mystérieux. Last night I spoke with you all, confirmed your whereabouts in the house over the course of the evening, and while I would have expected such questioning to reveal a potential suspect, what I learned was that it could not have been one of you.
What do you mean, not one of us? The man was stabbed. He hardly did that to himself. There is still a killer in the house.
Pardon, monsieur, if you would allow me to finish. It could not have been only one of you. Rather a partneria, a partnership, in cahoots, if you will. Conversations today have revealed facts that I was not expecting to discover. And although they may have muddied and complicated my investigation, what I must do to bring the guilty parties to justice has become clearer. Those of you that spun stories in an attempt to confuse and derail my investigation have made a grave mistake in underestimating my intelligence. Other detectives may fall for such deception, but I can assure you, Detective Poirot is no such fool. My investigation is far from over, and swift justice shall be dealt to those that have committed such appalling acts and have continued to mislead and lie to protect themselves. Now, I must continue mon enquête, and I shall leave you to consider that you may be beside a cold-hearted killer. Bonsoir. Monsieur Sterling, un moment.
Oh,
Quite the speech,
Jesus, yeah.
detective.
Wouldn't it just be easier if somebody just went up and stabbed the detective and was like, yeah, easy. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. Wait. No, we're gonna see what Archie has to say.
Merci, but it was not made to entertain, more to warn the guilty parties that I am hot on their heels, no matter how clever they believe themselves to be.
Yeah, that Archie, I'm on your tail, buddy.
Well, if there is anything I can do.
I'd like to search the guest bedrooms.
Is that really necessary?
The murderer remains at large, and there is still no sign of the weapon. I would say that makes them essential.
Of course. I still just cannot imagine any of them being guilty of his murder.
It may be hard to imagine, but it is the truth.
When you returned to the study last night, did you notice anything different from our previous visit?
Nothing. But I was so preoccupied with the Major. Sorry, detective. Should I have?
Perhaps it was just my mind playing games again.
Maybe one of the guests got lost and wandered in.
If a guest had taken a wrong turn, finding themselves in the Major's bedroom first, I'm sure they would not have proceeded through the next door unless they were not lost at all. Who has access to the safe in the Major's study?
Master Hagen had a key, obviously, and Lady Vandenbosch.
Monsieur Demire was quite sure Archibald also had a copy of the key. It is not something one would easily forget. Regarding access to the safe, you have seen its contents before.
When requested, aye. If something is required from there when Master Hagen is not around.
Forgive me. If he is not around, how is it you access this safe?
It's not what you think, detective.
What I think is that you have been trusted with a copy of the key, and you have lied to me about it.
I only lied because of the trouble I can get into with Lady Vandenbosch.
At this moment, monsieur, you should be more worried about the trouble you shall find yourself in with the law.
I know how it will sound, but I lost my key. I must have set it down somewhere, and it has been tidied away. Master Hagen asked so rarely for me to go in the safe, I didn't think it would be missed.
Monsieur Sterling's story of his lost key strikes me as rather coincidental. The major's safe is broken into with documents ransacked and letters involving Madame Van den Bosch's secret left out. It is a crime with no apparent purpose. There is a matter regarding the Comtesse that we must discuss.
I should have said this morning. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, I am not quite sure you understand the severity of what has happened.
I am well aware, Detective. I just thought she would be able to help.
Would you allow a man with a smoking gun to remove his bullet from a victim's chest?
I suppose not.
I understand that Monsieur Sterling was only trying to help, but surely he must have seen what it could do for the integrity of my investigation. Clearly not.
I would like to begin my searches now. Since it is closest, I will start with the West Wing.
I may not be back when you return. Here is the key to the other rooms. Please return it when you're done.
Yeah, we wouldn't want you losing any more.
Merci. I shall guard it with my life.
First, let us pay the Comtesse a visit. Yes, well, we can do that next time with our new mind map. Before I can accuse anyone of any crime, I must be sure if they were working alone or with another. This is a perfect opportunity to find evidence of any collusion and look for the murder weapon. Yeah, new mind map. Okay, we will go and investigate the people's rooms, the guests' rooms, when I return next time. Do you think his shoes are Louis Vuitton? Like a man in the Louis Vuitton. They're so red. Why does he have to wear red socks and red shoes? Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.